Welcome to this week's edition of New York Now. I'm Dan Clark. It was 4 months ago this weekend that the first case of the coronavirus was diagnosed in New York. 3 weeks later, Governor Andrew Cuomo closed most businesses and said people shouldn't leave home unless they absolutely had to. We're now at the start of July, and some of the long-term impacts of the pandemic are starting to set in. One of them is a statewide mental health crisis, which we're going to spend a lot of this week's show talking about. But another is the damage done to the state's economy, and Republicans blame that on Cuomo, saying he fumbled the state's reopening. State Republican Chairman Nick Langworthy said this week that the legislature should remove the governor's emergency powers.
He's not a king. I mean, we need to have a legislature that gets back to work and does its job. I mean, what would the country say if Congress just decided it was going to disband for the year and let the president just decide what it is? That's called a dictatorship.
And Langworthy's not alone in that thinking. With me now is Amanda Freese, a State House reporter from the Albany Times-Union. Mandy, thanks for being here.
And thank you for having me.
Anytime. So let's talk about Langworthy. He's basically saying that the legislature should take away the governor's emergency powers. What does he mean by that? And is there any chance of that happening? It seems like it would not happen with Democrats in control.
So when the legislature passed the budget back in April, it included these emergency powers that allows the governor to pass laws, issue executive orders that address the public health crisis. I believe that those powers are set to expire February, April of next year.
April of next year, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about a year that he's been granted these powers. While there have been Democrats as well as Republicans who have criticized the fact that these powers are still available to the governor, there really hasn't been any legislative movement in order to address it. And certainly when it comes to both the Assembly and Senate leaders, they don't seem to have any appetite for going back. Obviously, there is that expiration now. So, with that set to expire at some point, I think everybody's kind of waiting and seeing, especially because the public health crisis hasn't ended. And that's been a lot of the reasoning behind continuing to have these powers so that the governor could act quickly in this public health crisis.
Do you get the sense at all that this is political? I mean, we have the state GOP chair, which is Langworthy, having this press conference about this. We have the governor responding and calling him a mouthpiece for Trump. Where are the politics in this, Mandy?
The politics are front and center with this one, I would say. You also see it on display fairly regularly now in the governor's daily briefings when he has them, criticizing the federal government for not acting quickly enough to provide more relief to state and local governments. So I think this is kind of just another angle that is being taken. And certainly when it comes to the governor's side of things, he sees it as, the GOP chair is essentially saying that the public health crisis is over and there's no need for these powers. So it's a little back and forth between the two of them, as well as other individuals who have decided to play a little bit of ball when it comes to politics.
Before I let you go, let's talk about the rent relief bill really quick. The governor signed it this week. Give me a brief explanation of what it does and what renters should expect.
So I appreciate you asking that question because I've actually received, response from readers who were a little unclear of it. And this is specifically, it ensures that no tenants who have not been able to pay their back rent during the coronavirus pandemic and the restrictions for businesses will not be evicted. So landlords can still recuperate that money. However, it cannot be used as a reason to evict a tenant. So that aims to address the potential looming housing crisis if folks aren't able to, afford the rent and face eviction.
All right, Amanda Freese from the Times-Union. Thanks as always for being here.
Thank you.